Welcome to round 4 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of July 11th. I'm Catherine Alecko, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
Nicole Eridix is away this week. As moms of teens and young adults, we've survived those little kid days, yet we're still rethinking the decisions we've made all through our kids' lives and worrying about what's going on right now. Today's Thursday, which means it's time to give in to our obsessing. And today we're obsessing about how annoying we are to our kids.
And
we're not going to ask them.
Obsessing about this, I'm pretty sure.
Last week we talked a bit about choosing our battles, and today we're going to respond to an article from a mom who identified 10 battles that she has opted out of. It's called 10 Ways This Mom Has Stopped Annoying Her Teens from Grown and Flown, and we identified with it so much that we can only talk about 5 at a time because there's so much food for thought here. So this week we're going to talk about the first 5 on her list, and then next week we'll follow up with the second 5. The first one is their rooms are their rooms. So basically, if they're going to be messy, if they're going to be, never cleaned, whatever. And I would say, I'm pretty... Yeah.
Presumably, as long as there's not food rotting under the bed or a rodent problem.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say I'm kind of that way too. My son definitely does not like me to go into his room. Not for any reason other than just I might touch his things. And, my daughter, I could come in while she's there, and occasionally I go in and look for things when she's not there. But basically, I don't care what they do in their rooms as long as they're... I mean, because it's not like the part of the house that is under my jurisdiction is exactly what you would call neat. So let she who is without a pile of stuff on the dining room table cast the first stone.
Right.
So one time we did have to go through my son's room because there was so much dust. Because it's like he needs to keep things, but he doesn't actually interact with them. He just needs them to be there. And so we just had to take everything out and dust it off. And at that point, we did get rid of some stuff. And it really needs to happen again. But I just hate to, I would like to say their rooms are their rooms.
Right.
But if they're, going to get lung disease from breathing in.
If it's a health hazard, then we have to. Right.
Although my room is pretty dusty too. So again, I can't brag.
Yeah. But generally,
I agree with that. That
we
seems
agree.
Like a good battle. Especially with teens and young adults. I think you can do that battle. You don't care if they make the bed or, have their underwear on the floor.
Right.
My husband does probably go in and pick underwear off the floor. He maybe feels more strongly about that than I do with my son's room. But
yeah, I do go in and fetch like towels. When I'm washing towels, I go in and get whatever's in there.
Well, my kids are pretty good about keeping their rooms neatish, so I don't have too much.
Yeah. And both of mine, will sort of just let things go, let them go, and then one day decide to have a big cleanup.
Yeah. I do sometimes find a gigantic garbage bag full of stuff by the top of the stairs. That means my daughter has cleared some stuff out of her room. And as we have established here on this podcast, I am quite the pack rat. And so I look through it and go, you can't get rid of this. How can you get rid of this? Did you want to get rid of it? Did you mean to get rid of this? So I have a box of DVDs in our living room that's been there since like the early days of COVID. Because I can't throw them away, and I keep forgetting to take them to the library, and now the library probably doesn't want them anymore, and yet I can't throw them away. And one day I just found, under the dining room table, a bag full of random junk from her room. I said, did you put this here? She couldn't even remember having put it there. I said, because this stuff is all yours. She's like, oh, yeah, I guess so. I said, do you want any of this stuff? I guess not. So at some point, she took stuff got stuff out of her room, put it in a bag, and I guess hid it somewhere that I would not find it.
So that you would not go through it, yes.
So long ago that she had forgotten. So, the kids are not the problems when it comes to rooms being neat, is what I'm saying.
Right. Yes. So the next one on this list from this Grown and Flown article is quite similar. It's they can wear what they want.
Yeah, I think we've discussed that before.
We talked about this.
I am completely fine with that. My husband is the problem with that.
Yeah.
He has very strong opinions about what people should wear. So
Right.
he will not necessarily, he pretty much tells my son what to wear, and my son is fine. And he will make comments on what my daughter is wearing. And I'm like, she's a grown woman. Let her wear what
Right.
she wants. If she's cold, she won't wear that again. But
Right.
I opt out of that. Absolutely, that is absolutely a battle that I will not engage in. Who
Right.
cares?
Exactly.
I wouldn't want anybody telling me what to wear either.
That's right.
When I was her age, certainly, and not now either.
Yeah. The next one is they can eat what they want. This one I have some difficulty with because I do have opinions. But I also am lazy about A, going to the store, B, cooking, C, requiring people to eat what I'm eating at a particular time. So, yeah, this one is a little harder.
Yeah, it's a source of tension in our house for sure. Again, not so much with me as with my husband, who has strong opinions on this. And that's fine. Somebody should fight this battle. So I make way for you, dear. I will just make faces when you say things that aren't nice. But, both kids probably eat more than they should. And my son racks up an impressive lot of vending machine purchases from his work.
Right.
If he is actually eating all of that stuff, probably somebody should say something to him. But maybe I'm just telling myself, maybe he's sharing it. Maybe it's bottles of water. Maybe it's all bottles of water. Maybe it's,
Yeah.
So I try not to think about it too much. But I think they pretty much eat what they want, but we may express opinions. You're eating that too? Wasn't this enough? That's really unhealthy. High cholesterol in that. That's going to be fattening. And then they ignore us and eat what they want. So whether we do anything or not.
Exactly. So that's an argument for not,
Yeah. At some point you have to learn that you can't eat like that. And we'll see when that happens.
Right.
It's just the only thing that bothers me about it is that I myself am on a diet. And so having things in the house that other people enjoy, that I would like some of too, is very hard. So if everybody could just eat responsibly for however long it takes me to get to my goal weight, which might be several years, that'd be cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this one, I accept that if I want to control it, I basically have to control it at the source, which is what comes into the house.
Yeah.
And because I, as I said, don't really like to grocery shop, that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, and my daughter is at an age now where she can just drive herself to the grocery store and pick up what she wants.
Right.
Which then sits there taunting me.
Right. Exactly. So, okay, number 4. I will not force them to do anything with me. So, in this one, the writer says, I'll invite them, to do things, but I'm not going to, force them by withholding other things or making them feel guilty or whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
I think I'm generally at this point.
Force is a strong word.
Right.
I have expectations
Uh-huh.
that it is wise for people to meet
Right.
of their own accord, of course, because they want to please me.
Uh-huh.
I would not call that forcing. I would
And
call
see-
that good parenting.
Right. And I feel like, in my case, it feels more like giving up than it is, opting out of a battle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there are certain things that I would like the family members to all do. And it just, when it got too hard, I gave up. So it's not really the same as making a conscious choice to let other people live their lives. It's more me feeling like, oh, this is too hard. I'm giving up.
Fine situation.
Yeah. So that doesn't really make me feel good.
Yeah, I have a couple of things I should probably do that with, but I'm not ready to yet. I'm gonna sort of increase my efforts to see if I can make it something that they want to do.
Right.
So, because it's important, something that's really important to me. But yeah, I can see where that can be a battle, especially as kids get to teen and young adults. Yeah, there's not really...
And also, speaking of yesterday, if you don't have backup, that makes it much harder.
That's right. Yeah, and
so that's another way that I can share the blame.
Right. Exactly. Oh, yes, sharing the blame. That's excellent. But it would be hard if one parent wants to force them to do stuff and the other doesn't.
Yeah.
So fortunately, we've been sort of on the same page with stuff.
Right.
But there are things where I don't want to do the battle, and there are things where he doesn't want to do the battle, and then we sort of have to decide: do you want to just like go in as a lone mercenary,
right,
fighting covertly to beat the enemy, or do you want to just wave the white flag?
Right. It's a tough one. Okay, so the last one, I can't wait to hear your take on this. The last one that we're going to
this week.
For the last one we're going to talk about today is, I will not control every decision. And I will quote from the article, I'm here for advice and support, but I am not here to run their lives and micromanage every life decision, every friendship, or to tell them how to complete their English project. Oh, Terry, what do you think about this?
I would so like to be that lady. I would so like to not feel the need to control every decision. I try. I really do. And I am letting go of the reins of a lot more things than I used to. But sometimes I want them to decide my way.
Yep.
And they will, because I will make them.
Because you will wear them down.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a sort of a, what's the word? A gradual process of withdrawal, depending on your kid's ability to make responsible decisions themselves.
Yes.
I do definitely try to allow them the freedom to make the decisions that I feel they can safely make. I think that's important. Like, for example, if my son wants to buy 10 things out of the vending machine during his work, it's his money, and, enjoy it. This is something you enjoy spending money on, it, go for it. I will let him make that decision. I will let him make decisions of what to do when he's on his day off. And with my daughter, she really does make most of her decisions now. But there are times when I feel like I do need to step forward in an advisory capacity, sometimes to give information so she can make a good decision, and sometimes to say, this is the decision you want to make this decision. Right. Let's do this.
Right.
I'm taking this off your desk. Aren't you happy that now you have to struggle?
Yes.
It's hard, though. It's one of the hardest things in parenting.
Yeah. Knowing exactly when and how to withdraw that.
Yes, and knowing that you will be handling these decisions over to someone who is much less skilled than you in making them.
Right. Much less skilled, much less experienced.
That's right.
And doing so in a way, that builds confidence.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Because they need that. Yeah. So.
Definitely. You do try to find, it's like picking your battles. It's picking the decisions that you can have them make for their good self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And then sort of not picking the fights that you could fight, and you probably things would be better off if you did, but you're just like, I'll let them have that one.
Right.
But then the ones that are like, potentially life-threatening or finance-threatening or just have the capacity to really tick you off, those you have to make them still. Mm-hmm. You can trick them into thinking they made them, though.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. The sort of not only knowing when to hold back, but then, or just being able to be patient enough. I definitely, one of mine for sure, like, will do well and will make decent decisions, but not until they're good and ready.
Yeah.
And waiting for that time is very difficult.
It really is. Made that decision yet? How's that decision going, honey?
Yeah, and anytime you say that, you just push back the timetable. So, shut up.
One thing that helps is that I do remember how very much I hated my mom trying to control my decisions when I was my kid's age, and how, in fact, I did not allow her to, and often made questionable decisions just to say, I'm in charge. Right. I'm making this decision. You can't. Right. And then, in my head, I would realize that probably she was right, but
be like,
not ever out loud.
Not gonna admit that. Never, ever.
Yeah, so I do have a heart for the young person trying to have some control over their life.
Yeah.
Still living in my house, though, so.
Exactly. Well,
the landlord has certain requirements.
Yeah. So we will get to the second half of this next time, because
that was fun.
There's a lot of food for thought here.
Yeah.
So that's it for today's round 4. Tune in tomorrow when we'll share our roundabout roundup of things we've been using or enjoying lately that we think deserve a shout out. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com. Talk back in the comments there, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat.